1, 2, 3, 4. I got thoughts running through my head. I got thoughts, can't you see? I got thoughts of books I read. I got thoughts, won't you listen to me?
But to gas your own citizens, and make no mistake, tear gas may not kill you, but you're gassing your citizens so you can walk across the street and say you're dominating the battle space and have your big military parade, and they're not doing anything. And then you keep ratcheting up, because the cordon around the White House has now gotten to be fences and concrete barriers, and now we've got lines of guys in SWAT gear, riot gear, with the shields and the helmets and all that, who have no insignias on their uniforms, so we don't know where they are. They're not wearing name tags. And they're guarding this little demilitarized zone around Trump's, bunker, so he can feel safe and feel like a big boy. Which doesn't seem legal to me. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but if I ask a policeman for his badge number, I'm pretty sure he has to give it to me. And to not say, hey, I'm with the police, how are you going to say that you have authority if you won't even, show me what authority backs you up? And the worst part about all of that is the deafening silence that has come from most of the Republican leadership. Now, we've had a few, shall we say, intellectual midgets like Tom Cotton come out and say that he wants to use the military on American citizens, almost exactly on the date that's the anniversary of the Tiananmen Square protests that were put down so harshly by the Chinese government, that Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is criticizing them for, while at the same time his party is saying we should use, members of his party are saying we should use the military on American citizens, like the Chinese did in 1989 in Tiananmen Square. Those are the only Republican voices we're hearing. The closest thing we've gotten to an actual set of balls on a Republican politician has been Senator Murkowski, who says, I'm troubled by this. I'm not sure I can support Donald Trump. Really? You're not sure whether or not you can support a president who wants to use the military on peaceful protesting American citizens who are exercising their First Amendment constitutional fucking rights? Really? You're not sure you can support that? And that's the harshest thing anyone in the Republican Party that I've seen has said about it. The rest of it has been deafening silence. When you can get one of them like Mitch McConnell to even make a statement, it's like, well, I haven't heard him say that. Or I haven't heard, it's like, motherfucker, you deaf? I heard it. If you have ears to hear, to kind of paraphrase the Bible, you heard it. And I heard that whistle loud and clear. That was put the liberals, the young people, the immigrants, and the people of color in their place. Because that is what it appears the Republican Party believes is the job of the police, of law enforcement, is to bind the lesser classes to the law while not being bound by it. Because the Posse Comitatus Act, basically says you can't use the military for law enforcement purposes on U.S. soil, except in the most dire of circumstances, which, by the way, we ain't reached. We ain't even close to being reaching that. If you're still unsure if you can support the president that does this, and that's, again, the strongest statement I've heard out of anybody in the Republican Party, anybody in the leadership, anywhere. If that's the strongest condemnation you can give for gassing your own people in a pandemic, why would I think you're the law and order party? Sure, your order, the order being do what I say and don't make me have the bad feels, but follow the law, be held accountable for your actions, suffer the consequences of bad acting and bad actors and people who enable bad actors? Apparently not. Bind those to the law, but do not be bound by it. That is the ethos. What I say is right, even if what I say today is not what I said a month ago. Because a month ago, let's keep in mind, there were protests all over this country for people who wanted to open the economy back up, who wanted a haircut, wanted to go out to bars and restaurants, despite the danger that presented to not only themselves, but to people, everybody around them, and everybody around them, and in the circle, on and on and on. And those protests included people openly armed with military-grade weaponry, storming into the state capitol in Michigan, might I add. And those people were cheered on by the president. Liberate Virginia. Liberate Michigan. Liberate. Well, what's the difference? White people want a haircut, they have to be listened to. Black people want to not be killed. Not only is it's not silence. The response isn't silence. The response is shut up and get in your place, or we'll gas you. We'll send the military in after you. Now, what does that say to a young African-American man who's trying to, get an education and work a good 9-to-5 job and do all the things that the white people have been telling him for years? If he does this, the American dream's all his. Over half of African-American adults are unemployed right now, thanks to the pandemic and the economy as it's built. Stock market's 27,000. It's booming. Stock market's all going off. People making money left and right. Over half of all African Americans are unemployed. They get to see one of their own brutally choked out on the street by a cop, and you're telling them not only you can't kneel at the national anthem, we're going back 4 years, you can't make a silent protest that hurts no one, because that's not the right place, because it's their national anthem and you're disrespecting the flag. You can't do that. And now you can't go out on the street and protest peacefully. But a month ago, white people, in the middle of the pandemic, I want a haircut. I'm going to yell and scream and stop traffic and run up in the state house with automatic weapons. Or semi-automatic weapons. Let's be, it matters. One of these things is not like the other. If you want to tell me that the Republican Party is not a racist, white supremacist party that supports fascism and authoritarianism, you got a hard sell there. Because all the things I've mentioned in this video, and I've been talking for about an hour now, all of those things are exactly what you are saying they are not. I don't believe you, and I can't vote for you because of that. And other things. I mean, I don't believe in your ideology either. The message is not consistent. And you can't be the law and order party if you don't follow the law. You just can't. I mean, clearly, these politicians that I'm speaking of, people like Mitch McConnell, Senator Ron Johnson, Senator Tom Cotton, have no shame. Have no shame. Because they're out there, on one hand, saying white people have the right to protest being locked in their houses in quarantine and not being able to go get a meal at a restaurant or a haircut or go to the bar or go to the pool or whatever. And black people can't protest getting murdered, getting straight up executed by cops who are not held accountable for those murders and for those executions or for their brutality, and who not only aren't held accountable, if you even suggest they should be, there are places like Buffalo, like Minneapolis, and others, where they literally their unions act like an extortion racket. Oh, well, if you're going to hold us accountable and say we can't beat up people, then, well, your district's just not going to get policed very well, is it? We're going to lose evidence and all that. No, we're not having that. So, I know this is a long summation. What do? What's the solution? Easiest, solution, soundbite solution I've got is have a independent federal watchdog agency created that is tasked with investigating every single officer-involved death in the country. Every one of them. Don't have local DAs investigate these things. Don't have local police unions or local IA, internal affairs divisions investigate them. Because those folks it's way too easy for those folks to be manipulated, blackmailed, extorted, or otherwise fucked with. And they are way too dependent, especially local DAs, on working with the police to actually, prosecute criminals, actual factual criminals. There's too much conflicts there. There's too much reason for those folks not to hold these people accountable. So, independent watchdog agency that investigates every one of those crimes. And if the cop is found guilty, put him in jail, in prison, like you would a normal person, a regular person. At the very least, these serial offenders, these serial guys who are continually brutalizing their community, don't let them get fired at one place for police brutality and then get hired at a different place 2 counties over or a county over. That happens way too much. Let them go work mall security or something else. Maybe something that doesn't involve having authority over people. It has to be an independent body. They cannot be investigated locally anymore. Because it's quite clear there's too much influence that allows them to skirt that. And police unions, same goes for you. Stop acting like it is an offense to police officers to hold them accountable. Stop it. Stop trying to extort city councils and mayors and chief and police commissioners and all that, and protecting officers just reflexively protecting officers without knowing the facts. Just saying, okay, well, he's an officer. That thin blue line's got to be protected. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. The community has to be protected. If that cop is helping the community, then he should be protected. But if that cop is killing black people, or anybody, but I mean killing black people in this particular instance, because that's what we're talking about, he's not protecting the community. He's not helping the community, and he's not helping you. He's not helping the people who actually want to help their community. Community leaders and other cops who aren't bad. And cops, you're a police officer out there, I feel your pain. I feel you and how hard a job this can be. But it's not you against your community. It's you for your community. And I don't care what that dude that you work with that's beating on a protester says. He's not helping you. He's painting a giant target on your back. And your silence is endangering you. Because like I said, people can only be pushed so far. And you guys are lucky right now that these protesters are actually peaceful. That they're taking these beatings and these gassings and all this stuff peacefully. Because there's a lot more of them than there are of you. And eventually, they might not be peaceful. So that's the greatest thing about this kind of moment, is you get to recognize that peace can work, but eventually, if those in power do not listen to the people that they govern, the people who give them that power with their votes and their tax dollars and all that, if they do not listen, and they continue to not listen, how can they expect something like this not to happen? How? It's going to happen eventually. This is nothing. We've had some fires. We've had some people breaking some shit. We've had a lot of unrest. But it can get a whole hell of a lot worse. And that's not any kind of threat. I mean, I'm not out there. I'm not going to go do shit. I am way too soft for that. Nah. I am a total pussy. But I'm not the one you got to be worried about. Because you know what? I'm white. I don't have to be worried about getting shot if I get pulled over. I've never had to worry about that at all. I've driven drunk when I was a teenager in college. But you know what? I could have gotten pulled over. I'd have probably spent some days in jail, a day in jail or a night in jail, got bailed out. I'd have been fine. Been pulled over for an expired tag. It was fine. I was fearful for the financial aspect of, oh crap, I got to pay for this now. But I've been fine. I've been fine. They're not targeting me yet. But the people you are targeting, and make no mistake, you're targeting them, they will eventually get tired of it. You can only hold your knee on their neck so long before they say, enough. Like the Reverend Al Sharpton said this week, get your knee off my neck. And when they push back, if you don't help them, just help them, just live with them, then it's on you. It's on you. We're at a moment in time where we can make things better. It doesn't have to be this way. Nothing has to be this way. It can change. Now, I've gone on, and I don't know how long this video is going to end up being, or how many pieces I break it up into. But I'll probably talk myself hoarse. And I could probably talk about it for a few more hours. Let's get out there and let's make some change, people. November comes. Let's vote for the people who will at the very least listen. And then let's hold them accountable to the things they promise and the things they say. And let's make sure that we don't let this happen again. Let's not let another George Floyd come in. Let's not let another Tamir Rice come down the pipe. Let's not let another unarmed black man lose his life because police can't control themselves. Or won't. Can't or won't. The difference is minimal. Let's make some change, people. This has been my thoughts, my very long and rambling thoughts. I am Gary Ballard, and let's all try to be nicer to each other out there.